In the year 1453, the Roman Empire still existed, but this Roman Empire existed as a single city, Constantinople. Once, this city had been the greatest metropolis in the Christian world. A crossroads between Europe and Asia, a jewel of an empire. Its harbours were filled with ships from every corner of the Mediterranean, its palaces dazzled foreign ambassadors, and its walls were believed to be protected by God himself. But now it was a shadow. Entire districts lay abandoned, palaces crumbled, churches echoed with prayers spoken by congregations that grew smaller each year. And yet, the people of Constantinople knew exactly who they were. They called themselves Romans, and they believed that they were living through the final chapter of a story that had begun nearly 15 centuries earlier. This was an empire that was waiting for the end. Long before the first Ottoman cannon fired, Constantinople was already fractured. The most dangerous enemy the Byzantines faced was not outside their walls, but from within. For centuries, Christendom had been divided between East and West. In Constantinople, Christianity followed the Orthodox tradition, whereas in Western Europe, the Catholic Church answered to the Pope in Rome. And the relationship between the two was poisoned forever in the year 1204. During the Fourth Crusade, Western Catholic crusaders, supposedly Byzantine allies, turned on Constantinople. They stormed the city, looted churches, stole holy relics, and carved the empire apart. And for the Byzantines, this betrayal was unforgettable. As the Ottoman power rose in the 14th and 15th centuries, Byzantine emperors desperately appealed to the West for help. But their answer was always the same. They must reunite the churches and accept the supremacy of the Pope. In 1439, at the Council of Florence, the Byzantine king finally agreed. The union of the churches was proclaimed. On paper, the East and the Western churches were one again. But in reality, the people of Constantinople rejected it. Priests refused to recognize it, monks denounced it as heresy, and ordinary citizens believed that they had sold their faith for false promises. Many believed that it was better to be ruled by Muslims than to be betrayed by fellow Christians. And when the siege came, Western help was minimal. Constantinople stood divided, distrustful, and largely alone. The final Roman emperor was Constantine XI, Palaiologos. He was not born to rule an empire at its height. He inherited ruins. And his coronation lacked ceremony and splendour, a quiet acknowledgement that there was little left to celebrate. Constantine was a soldier emperor, shaped by war and hardship. He had fought in the empire's dying provinces and understood the brutal reality of their situation. He knew the city was undermanned, he knew the treasury was empty, and he knew that there was no great crusading army coming to save them. But he also believed that surrender would erase everything that Byzantium had stood for. As long as Constantinople stood, Rome still lived. Constantine personally inspected the walls, encouraged soldiers, negotiated with foreign captains, and he prayed in the churches alongside ordinary citizens. He wasn't an emperor ruling from a distant palace. No, this was a man preparing to die with his city. Outside the walls stood Sultan Mehmed II. He was only 21 years old, but he was no inexperienced prince. He had been raised with one obsession: the city of Constantinople. He studied many languages: Greek, Latin, Arabic. He read Roman and Greek history. He admired Alexander the Great and saw himself as his successor. To Mehmed, Constantinople was not just a strategic prize. It was the key to an empire. He believed that by taking the city, he would become the true heir of Rome. He even adopted the title Kaiser-i Rum, the Caesar of Rome. And unlike previous attackers, he brought a new weapon: gunpowder. The Theodosian walls were among the greatest defensive structures ever to be built up to that point in time. 3 massive lines of stone, a wide moat, and dozens of towers. For over 1,000 years, they had held. Arab armies, Bulgarian kings, Russian raiders, all had failed. But these walls were designed for a world of swords and arrows. Mehmed had hired a Hungarian engineer named Orban to build enormous cannons, bombards so large that they required teams of oxen to move them. And when they fired, the ground shook. Day after day, the Theodosian walls were battered. By night, Byzantine defenders desperately repaired breaches with rubble, timber. This became the rhythm of the siege: prayer at dawn, thunder by day, and repairs by torchlight. Food dwindled, sleep disappeared, and fear became a constant. The siege began in April 1453. Inside the city were perhaps 7,000 defenders, Byzantine soldiers, Genoese mercenaries, and Venetian volunteers, and facing them were tens of thousands of Ottoman troops. Mehmed had blockaded the city by land and sea. He even hauled ships overland to bypass the great chain protecting the Golden Horn. It was a psychological blow. The city's legendary defences were being undone, one by one. Despite everything, Constantinople managed to cling on to life, but barely. The final assault began on the 29th of May, 1453. Before dawn, it began. Drums echoed, horns sounded, and wave after wave of Ottoman soldiers surged forward. The defenders fought with everything they had left. At a critical moment, Giovanni Giustiniani, the city's most capable commander, was wounded and carried from the walls. Panic spread throughout the Byzantine lines, and the Ottoman troops broke through the defences. The Emperor Constantine XI removed his imperial insignia. He would not be captured. He charged into the chaos and was never seen again. The Roman Empire ended in the dust and blood of the walls that it had trusted for a millennium. Constantinople fell. The Hagia Sophia was transformed into a mosque, and the city itself became the capital of a new empire. For the first time since antiquity, there was no Roman emperor, but the fall reshaped the world. Greek scholars fled west, carrying ancient texts, accelerating the Renaissance, and the medieval world gave way to the modern age.